A strange zombie virus infects Japan overnight. Amidst the chaos, a failed cartoonist tries to survive. That's why today I'm Hero. Remember that if you like the videos, you can support the channel by liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications. It's free and really helps me keep growing. Now let's get started. This is the story of Hideo, a cartoonist who works as a mangaka's assistant. Despite his job not being ideal, he takes great pride in his work. But what he truly desires is to be a hero, like the comic book protagonists. His workday is ordinary. Although you can hear some strange facts on the news, like a woman bit her dog, or a man killed his partner without even having a weapon. But it doesn't matter now. As darkness falls, he must return home. He lives there with his girlfriend, despite their strained relationship due to her desire for a better life. And he is more interested in creating his own manga or in his rifle, for which he even has a permit to use weapons. But getting back to the manga, he even received an award for one of his works 15 years ago. But since that time, he never had a manga that was published again. Although he has submitted multiple stories, none appear to interest the editors. Unlike another man who won the same award the same year as him and who is now totally successful. But his work life is not the only one in which he fails, but that led him to have financial problems. His girlfriend wants to sell his belongings, including his manga collection and rifle, to pay the rent. And even though they really need the money, he refuses to sell all his things, so his girlfriend breaks up with him and leaves him on the street. Still, this doesn't seem to bother him much, as the only thing he asks her for is his gun carry permit so he can take his rifle with him. He sleeps in a park overnight and returns to work the following day. On the television, there's news about an extremely rare virus outbreak, but no one pays attention, as they're more interested in gossiping about their coworker sleeping with her boss. Now both of them are sick on top of that. They continue working until falling asleep. Hideo wakes up from his girlfriend's call and leaves the office to avoid waking his coworkers. He notices helicopters flying by. On the call, she sounds ill but begins to apologize. A few hours later, he visits her house to care for her. He knocks on her door, but no one answers, even though her phone is at her house when he calls. That's why he uses the mail slot to make sure she's there, and he sees her lying down. When he starts talking to her, she gets up in an exorcist style, but that doesn't seem strange to Hideo for some reason. He just keeps watching until she gets to the door, and he can see how her eyes are completely deviated. But it's not just that, she looks completely different, like a zombie. They have a short fight where she bites him, but he unintentionally kills her with his prize. He flees, spotting a woman who also appears to have been bitten. Hundreds of planes pass overhead, but he doesn't care. He returns to work and finds it odd that all his coworkers are still present. So he starts to slowly enter and sees how one of his colleagues is stained with blood but invites him in. He sees his other colleague with his head blown open, and at that moment his boss appears, who is also transformed, but the other one kills him. There they discuss how the internet claims the same thing occurred to numerous businessmen and politicians, while the guy keeps hitting his boss to be able to get back at him. Hideo immediately remembers that he was bitten, but realizes that it actually didn't do anything to him. But his coworker claims the boss bit him, and he instantly turns into a zombie. Luckily, this guy is insane and prefers to kill himself rather than becoming one of these monsters. His luck runs out when another coworker appears to be transformed, but he manages to escape. However, the streets are already overrun with zombies, leaving no safe haven. People are frantically running to escape. Amid the chaos, he enters a taxi with a student and a businessman, deciding to leave the city together. Hideo realizes that the businessman has been bitten and the virus is already taking effect. The curious thing about these zombies is that they retain the personality from when they were human. So at first, they behave like a normal person. So this completely transformed man talks to the taxi driver in a completely normal way and asks him to pass a handkerchief. When the taxi driver hands the man the requested item, the man seizes the chance and bites the driver's arm. With the student's help, Hideo, who was next to him, manages to get him out and throw him off the road. The taxi driver suddenly speeds up after transforming. Hideo swiftly makes the girl sit in the back with him, and she fastens her seatbelt just before the car crashes. When they get out, The girl checks an internet forum where people are talking about this new virus that turns people into zombies. And apparently this virus dies at high altitudes, like that of Mount Fuji. At one point, they can't finish reading as the girl runs out of battery, but now they know where they have to go to be safe. They stay in an abandoned house at night. And since Japan has vending machines everywhere, they can get some drinks and eat what Hideo had bought for his girlfriend. They stayed talking, and there we found out that her name is Hiromi. And she tells him that thanks to him, she feels safe, as if he were a hero. The next morning, he realizes that the girl was bitten. He wakes her up and points his rifle at her. She then tells him a baby bit her, and she doesn't care whether he kills her or leaves her alone. Since he is so cowardly that he wouldn't be able to kill her, he didn't want to leave her. As soon as he sees Hiromi begin to transform, he runs off and asks a passerby for help, and who turned out to be one of the infected. But nothing happens as Hiromi appears and eliminates the zombie with her superhuman strength. There he sees that she is different. It seems that she did not fully transform and is half human. So she doesn't attack him, and they resume their journey together. At one point, they reach a street where they find a shopping cart that he uses to easily carry the girl, since it seems that she spends her time sleeping. They continue their journey until they arrive at the stores and pick up a few items. However, things aren't always that simple. So a zombie appears that attacks him, but this time Yabu saves him, a woman who belongs to a group of survivors who are fully armed. At first, they find it strange that Hideo is with a zombie, but they still let them accompany them and get into their hideout. The group camped on the rooftops as they notice zombies can't climb up. There, they set up a store with everything necessary, even with some luxurious things, although now they have no value. The following day, he stares at everyone who has become zombies. We see how some continue pretending to follow their daily routines. The most threatening zombie appears to be a former athlete who jumps around constantly. But what catches Hideo's attention the most are the charred bodies, all in the same position. Moreover, the man appears to want to conceal their backstory. To make matters worse, Lura, who is the group leader, calls him to say that they need to go look for food, and for that, they need him to give them his shotgun. If he refuses, they will kill the schoolgirl. The woman who helped him disagrees with his actions. She only followed his orders because they promised not to harm the girls. But as much as they thought they had caught Hiromi, it's actually them who should be afraid of her. Within seconds, using her super strength, she throws the men who had grabbed her. Despite that, the leader shoots her with his crossbow without hesitation. There, they take Hideo's weapon, but argue over who will keep the rifle from now on. But in the end, the thug guys betray Lura and keep all the weapons. Conversely, Yabu, a former nurse, rescued Hiromi. Inspired by Hideo to help others, she wants to aid in their escape. The issue with her plan is that Hideo lacks motivation, because if he hadn't been so cowardly and had used the weapon against the leader, Hiromi wouldn't be in that state. After that, the men leave to go to the basement of one of the stores, where they have a food depot. When they get to the basement, Lura takes advantage of the darkness to leave the group and go turn on the electricity. She plays music to lure the zombies while observing them through the cameras. Her plan works well since most of them die. But when she realizes the guys who stole her spot are still alive, she decides to turn up the volume to attract all the zombies nearby. The problem is that the music motivated the athlete zombie, who with a leap reached where the camp was and began to attack all the women who had stayed behind. Meanwhile, the protagonist, a coward, separates from the group, returns to the warehouse, and hides in some lockers. But as one of the boys who died had a communicator, he hears Yabu calling for help and saying that everyone has transformed. Upon hearing her, Hideo considers leaving but envisions his repeated demise. On top of all this, he only has a toy hammer, since instead of grabbing the weapons he found along the way, he preferred to stick with that piece of plastic. When he hears Yabu say he must save Hiromi, he quickly emerges from his hiding place without much thought. And unlike what he had imagined, it wasn't very hard to get rid of one of the zombies. He can also use the communicator to inform Jebu that he will assist her. Apparently, his luck continues as he finds his precious rifle on the way. The girls went to the parking lot to meet Hideo, but only found Laura, who told them not to worry. The area is zombie-free because he drove them away. Additionally, there is a car there that they can use to escape. But all of that is just a trap, as he was also bitten and now wants to attack her. But Justo runs into Hideo, who easily gets rid of the zombie. The man with the remaining ammunition was found in the same location. As they continued walking, they encountered the man from the warehouse. They discover a horde of zombies pursuing them, which is not good news. To make matters worse, as they keep running, they run into another herd of zombies. Since Hideo is the only one skilled with the rifle, he wants to stay to eliminate as many targets as possible. There, he occasionally proves he's not a loser with help from the others. As they fight the monsters hand-to-hand, one of them is bitten and sacrifices himself so Hideo can kill multiple zombies simultaneously. Both the old man and another character die from being bitten. Upon realizing the zombie who bit him is his wife, he chooses to kill her and himself. Only Yabu, Hideo, and Hiromi remain as hordes of zombies continue to appear. The protagonist takes out his hidden Rolex armor from under his clothes. While it had saved him before, it also made shooting difficult. Thus, he begins to massacre all those monsters until none are left. Or is that what they believe, until the athlete zombie appears, who had previously shown that in addition to jumping up to 7 meters, also has brutal strength. To worsen the situation, he misses the shots with his remaining 2 bullets. But at the last moment, he sees that there is a bullet lying on the floor. And even though he could shoot him in the head, this zombie is totally indestructible. Although nothing happens, because even though a bullet couldn't break his head, the blow with the shotgun handle could. The 3 survivors can finally drive the leader's car to continue their trip to Mount Fuji, with Hideo being recognized as a hero. That was I Am Hero. Don't forget to hit like, comment on what other movies you want to see on the channel, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the upcoming videos.